welcome back to season 3. Is this episode 2 of season 3? Yes,
Yes.
okay. Sorry, we had a bit of a slow start for season 3. It's been like cray-cray, mostly because Marissa is expanding her business, so we can all blame her.
You just love
Shame.
me for everything. Everything.
So, welcome back to episode 2, season 3 of Psychotic PY Podcast. Are we 30 seconds in yet? Probably not, and then I'll say the word. Oh yeah, I have a timer and go. Psychotic pussy. So we are talking about loneliness. One is the loneliest number. And we're going to dive into that. There's a really good article in The Atlantic that came out only, I think it was 2 weeks ago, about loneliness and how it's changed completely in the past decade. And then they actually talk about it the past few decades, but a lot in the past decade in America specifically. We're talking about. It's so interesting. So we're going to dive in on that. Quick life updates. Let's see. Marissa currently has Marissa chopped her hair off. She also has her kids home for spring break. So check in on Marissa.
Not this week. It's two
Oh,
weeks. 2 weeks from now. Yeah. It's the week you
oh,
arrive, sucker.
it's what?
The week you arrive. Guess who's going to be at your Gaga's house every week, every day?
No.
Daycare.
No.
Also, I kind of look like I do like my new hair, guys, but when I don't like it in a ponytail because I cut it real short, like short,
It looks
like
really good.
it does. But when it's not done, I look like a good descriptive term is like when I'm going to fight the Huns. I'm
No,
like,
you do not look like
like
that.
what's his name, General Shang or whatever that.
I actually can't remember, but you don't look like that at all. But
Come on, you
I
see it.
see what you mean. The hottie in Mulan,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
hottie who she follows, he has
Yeah.
that perfect little like high pony that rests. Yeah, no, I do see that. No, your hair looks amazing. Yeah, Marissa gave it a good old Britney chop chop.
Yeah, I did. It's so great. When it's done, oh my God, I love it. I can't.
And
I love
aren't you so much quicker in the shower shampooing?
Yes, yes.
I
I
love that.
shed less because my hair is healthier,
Yeah.
quicker, using less products, obviously less hair. And I used to hate doing my hair because blowing it out was like a chore.
Yes.
And now I'm like, done. It takes me like maybe 6 minutes to do my whole
Ooh, I
hair.
love that. I'm back up to almost 20, so I'm due a chop. I can't wait. Ugh, I cannot
Ugh.
wait.
When you become a mom, you just like live for the mom chop. Yeah, especially with summer
I know.
coming, I don't have time for long,
I
sticky hair.
know. And then you actually get to be maximally cute because you have time to style it with less
Yes,
effort. It's amazing.
yes.
Oh, I love
I
it.
agree. I agree.
So yeah, we're checking in on loneliness. It's a really important topic, and especially for women, because obviously there's so many studies where women really thrive on human connection, whereas men can kind of retreat a little bit. That's obviously why men choose activities like gaming. Not that
Mhm.
women don't, but it's male dominated by
Mm,
far.
mm.
So yeah, women really seek connection, and yeah, it's just really important for your mental health and your overall health if you just have tight
Mhm.
friendships, tight bonds, especially if you're a lady. So yeah, let's dive in. Right.
Yeah.
Shall we give a quick all right. So the Atlantic published this, and it basically was an article about a woman who was out to eat in DC, observing that this restaurant actually had to close its bar area because nobody goes to the bar anymore. And she was like the only table eating, but their counter that was previously the bar was literally jam-packed with to-go orders. And she asked, "What is your percentage?" And he said, "Over 60% is just to go in this restaurant now. Like we're mostly a to-go place." So,
I wanna say though,
mm,
this probably COVID made it worse, right?
yes,
It made
100%. Yes. The
people
data
just don't
suggests that as
back.
well. People got used to enjoying their own company.
Mhm,
People got used to kind of living in, I'm saying a rut, but it's not necessarily a rut because some people choose to live this way.
mhm,
But they got used to that like rut of just like work,
mhm,
order in, go to bed, or
mhm.
Netflix, go to bed. You know what I mean? Like that cycle of like same every day because it was convenient. It is so convenient. How convenient is takeout?
Absolutely.
Come on.
There's, like, another section to this, not just, like, people who prefer that, but, like, moms, right? I feel like I learned that I prefer takeout because if I wanna go home and let my kids scream and not have other people judge me, I prefer it. I prefer it.
That is a really good point as well. Yeah. Like you want the perks of not cooking,
Mhm,
obviously, without the hassle of having to go to a restaurant with toddlers, which
mhm.
is kind of an anxiety inducing experience, even if you have really good kids, because you're just like, please don't freak out in here. Please don't freak out in
Mhm,
here. Don't let everybody look at me. Don't let everybody judge me.
mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Um, that is a good point. So I'm gonna hit you guys with a lot of facts because this article is just too good. But the share of US adults having dinner or drinks with friends on any given night has declined by more than 30% in the past 20 years. Um, and people feel more uncomfortable in the world today, and they've decided that their home is their sanctuary. And even when Americans do eat at restaurants, they are much more likely to do so by themselves. So, according to data gathered by the online reservations platform OpenTable, solo dining has increased by 29% in just the past 2 years.
Hmm.
That's a huge, and the number one reason is the need for more, quote, me time. So I think that's a pandemic thing now because you can go out and you're so trapped with your partner that you're like, I want to go out by myself. Like I just want me time. Do you think that makes sense? I don't know because it's in the past two
No, it
years.
does, but you're forgetting a part of it, which I think so we are really coming to see the effects of the generation that has social media at all times, right? At your
Yeah,
fingertips. And I think people feel like even though they're not being social by like say scrolling on TikTok all day or going on lives, that is social for them, especially introverted people,
that's
to have
true.
access to so I think they're socializing, even though it's not real. It is a connection to them and it still takes up mental space and effort to do. So they are drained because there are studies that show that like the amount of social media you consume, if it's not decreased, it does. It's so much, it takes so much energy and it does tire you out and it does
Yeah.
drain your battery.
That actually brings me back to gaming. I don't know why this is on my brain. I'm not a gamer. But if you say, when we were in high school, and we're really not that old, we're young millennials. When we were in high school, okay, actually, Marissa's bang on in the middle millennial. You're like a perfect millennial. I'm a young millennial. I'm on the cusp. So, um, when we would come home on a weekend, if you had like if all your sports practices were done, your homework was done, it was a Friday night, you would go to the movies with your friends.
Mhm.
And now if you ask high schoolers what they do, they're hanging out with their friends, but they're meeting up to game together. Like they're in their own
Mhm.
homes. They're in their own
Mhm.
homes, but they're like I don't know how gaming works. They're doing one of those live games where you're all playing together on a team, and they count that as hanging out with a friend. Whereas when we were growing up, you wouldn't count that. You'd be like, yeah, I
Correct.
called my friend on the phone, but I didn't hang out with her. But they
Correct.
count that as a social interaction.
Yes. It's yes. Well, okay. So even millennials versus people generations now, younger ones consuming it, it does give you the sense of, like you said, socializing. But because they're also consuming so much, they're a bit lazier. I will say, like lazier, introverted. So that's it makes like you said, like it's just easier for them to do it at home. Why make all these plans? Whose house? Whatnot? Like just I can still talk to you and we can still game, but I get to do it at my house.
Yes, yes, but then there is a lot of evidence, obviously, that they're missing out. So when you speak face to face with someone, I can't remember. I read an article a couple of years ago about it, because Gen Z has really been the generation with the decline of in person social interaction. When you miss out
Mhm.
on that face to face time, like in
Mhm.
person, you actually miss out on a lot of cues, obviously,
Yeah, you
and
do.
it makes you much worse at social interactions and makes your social anxiety worse if you're actually meeting people in real life. Like part of it's just part of life is like learning how to coordinate dates and
Mhm.
picking a restaurant, and it's super stupid things that like you don't even think about, but we don't think about it because we do it all the time. But remember Michael, our youngest brother,
Mhm.
Gen Z, if you spoke to him about like picking a restaurant, whatever, he would be like flustered. He'd be
Mhm.
like, "I have to do what? Like, I could do that in my sleep. Are you kidding me? Like, book a girls' night? Yeah, just tell me when you're free. I'll do it." Michael would be like freaking out.
He's not the only one in that generation though
No,
that
I
acts
know, I know. Yeah,
yeah, they are very socially awkward. They do get flustered easily, and I have seen a rise in depression rates in his generation and
mm,
younger because of that. Yes, they
yeah.
are social interaction. Face to face does so much for our mental health. We don't even realize. Just the same as like why you should go out and get some sunlight on good days instead of just stay in your house and do nothing all the time, right? And I don't think they realize because as young as they can remember, there's been technology in their hands of some sort. So it's the way of their life. It's how they live.
They're I'm pretty sure it's in this article actually. The number of like high schoolers who've been on a first date is like 20%. Like they don't
Mhm.
even go on dates anymore because they're like, why would I? Like I just Snapchat her. Crazy.
So on my feed, because I'm old as hell, it's been mothers who are coming up with like again people who probably had kids a little bit before me, maybe in their 20s or whatever. So they're coming into the preteens, and then some who might have had some young they're teenage kids, and they're talking about how it's so crazy because when we were their age, our parents would have had a heart attack if you could track us because we were all out in fields getting drunk, right? Like doing
Yes.
doing such life risking things that we would freak out if we knew.
Yeah.
But they haven't been seeing that in kids to these days, not only because they know we're tracking them like crazy now, but because like they just like you said, they'd rather stay home. Like they're like ending up weirdly being better kids because they're socially awkward and they you know what I
Yes.
mean? Like they're
Yes.
like my daughter, like she won't even go to a sleepover. Does she know I was in a field half dead at her age? And
I
I'm like,
think we talked about this in season 1, actually. I'm getting flashbacks. This
like,
is the first generation that they do not take as many risks than the generation prior. Usually, every generation takes risks, more risk, and they have more sexual partners.
yes.
Millennials are the first generation to have less sexual partners than the previous, and
Mhm.
Gen Z are do not take risks because they
Yep.
don't go out, they don't
Right.
meet up, they
Right.
don't drink, which is good, but
I so I'm hit or miss. So I feel like as a mother, I'm glad. I don't want my kids doing anything I did. God, if my mom knew even half of it, sorry, Jerry, you would literally fall over and die.
yeah,
But at the same time, I feel bad because I survived those things. I feel like I learned so much as a person. Does that make sense? Like I kind of had to grow up with these scenarios, and I had
yeah,
to, I don't know, just like be better with people and like also like just know like street smart stuff. Does that make sense? Like I know
yeah.
when like I can feel when things are bad. Whereas I feel like these kids who are attached to their phones, they will walk right up to some killer and have no idea. Like they really have no idea. Where I can sense these scenarios out and it's like I don't know, like I almost want my kids. Now I feel like how are they going to learn these things? I'm not saying like, hey kid, go, to some dangerous situation, but at the same time, like, how else are they going to get these life skills? How else are they going to have like intuition? Like, also, is that even going to disappear? Are you going to even have intuition if all you do is stay at your house on your phone?
Mm.
Like, so like, I'm a little concerned.
Yes, and, you get into this unfortunate dilemma of, like, remember when there'd be a couple kids who went their freshman year of college, you could tell that they had no friends in high school, so then they would go,
Yes.
like, balls to the wall, and you'd be like, "Oh," like that drunk girl because
Yeah.
she's never drank before. They're
Yeah.
all gonna be like that now, so college is gonna be, like, dangerous.
Dangerous. Dangerous. And I mean, it already is kind of.
It
So,
is, yeah.
that is concerning. Or they're all going to be lamos gaming in a frat house. I don't know.
Maybe, maybe.
Um,
And
but
it's
I
like,
am
save your
looking
granny era for when you're older.
I'm honestly, I'm concerned. Well, also too, that's been a trend on that. They're saying how at our age we would go out with no jackets, stripper heels, the
Yep.
tightest skirt or dress you could find from Charlotte Russe or Forever 21, and now
Yep.
they're all in these like milkmaid
Yeah.
liquid
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
loose clothes, and they're
The
like,
prairie
"Girl,"
dress.
they're like, "This is your clubbing outfit? You gotta go read
Yeah.
the Bible? What the hell?"
That's so funny. Yeah, I didn't really think about that. Fashion did definitely become a bit more conservative for
Yes,
that age group. Yeah,
yes,
remember, like, you would convince your mom to, like, let you go to BB, which was like, strippers are us.
it really.
You'd be like, "I have to wear this to homecoming."
You were lucky if any skin was covered. You were lucky because it really wasn't. There was
Yeah.
all showing, all showing.
Oh my god. Okay,
It was
so
insane.
they are tracking the evolution of restaurants in recent time. Basically, it's following the trajectory of another big industry, which was Hollywood. So in the
Mm,
1930s, video entertainment existed only in theaters. And now you can literally get movies that are out in theaters at home at the same time, right?
yeah,
Like with Disney, you can pay, is it like 30
mhm,
bucks and you can all watch it at home.
even cheaper, but yeah. Mhm,
Um, So technology turned film into a home delivery system. The
mm,
typical American adult buys about 3 movie tickets a year and watches almost 19 hours of television, the equivalent of roughly 8 movies on a weekly basis.
here's the thing. I would gladly do the movie theater experience, especially with friends and kids. I think it's great to get out, and I like that they have snacks, and I like their comfy new seats. The issue is they're trying to charge me for me and for a matinee for me to take Jack. It almost cost me $50. Why is it
Mm.
so expensive for a matinee with a half kid ticket? I'm sorry,
Yes.
ridiculous.
So I actually, okay, Ted and I love going to the movies. Obviously, we can't really right now because of Theo, but we love going to the movies.
Mhm,
And we like have spoken about going to the movies is an experience. You get your popcorn,
mhm,
you sit
mhm,
down, you actually watch it. At home, you can take pee breaks and you can pause to eat dinner and you can
yeah,
kind of like it ruins the flow. I don't mind it. Like sometimes you just
right.
want to watch it at home, but for a really truly good movie that you want to be taken away, you have to do
Mhm,
it not on your couch.
correct.
And I have been saying the movie industry is obviously dying. Everybody knows this. You need to
Mhm.
make these cheap tickets for families specifically if you ever want to bring this industry back.
Absolutely.
You need to make
Because
it affordable
yeah.
for families, target young families
Mhm,
so that people grow up with a whole new like how we grew up. Like on
mhm,
a Saturday, if you were
mhm.
rarely free, you get to go to the movies with your parents and you pick the
Yeah.
movie. They're not going to have that experience at all because A,
Mm.
it's unaffordable, and
Cheaper to stay
B, it's a hassle.
the streaming services, one platform alone with way more than one movie is cheaper than the damn movie and popcorn. I'm sorry.
Yep.
Like, I know they had to raise prices because they're suffering, but this one move is going to put them out of business,
Yeah.
honestly.
No, I agree. So American leisure activities are becoming private now, and Americans are spending less time with other people than in any other period for which we have trustworthy data, and that goes back to 1965. So between 1965 and the end of the 20th century, in-person socializing has slowly declined. From 2003 to 2023, it plunged by more than 20%. Um, Among unmarried men and people under the age of 25, the decline was more than 35%. Alone time obviously spiked during the pandemic, but the trend had started long before that.
Yeah.
Um,
Just made it faster. That's all.
exactly.
Sped the timeline up.
Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm.
Crazy. I'm not shocked though, because since this little timeline is sped up, that's why therapy ended up being booming, especially telehealth. You know, it follows the trend of they prefer to stay home and not really do the face to face.
Yes.
Um, it it's sad to see. I'm like torn because it's like obviously I like to make a good living, but at the same time, it's sad to watch it. I mean, the fact that we even have like waiting lists, and I have now what like 8 clinicians and growing, and I fill them very quickly, and then I immediately have to rehire because I have another wait list.
This is okay. So in 2023, Vivek Murthy, Joe Biden's Surgeon General, published an 81-page warning about America's quote epidemic of loneliness, claiming that its negative health effects were on par with those of tobacco use and obesity. A growing number of public health officials seem to regard loneliness as the developed world's next critical public health issue. The United Kingdom now has a minister for loneliness, as does Japan. It is a public health crisis.
It definitely is, I would say. I mean, you could tell because as much as in session I work on like say they're coming for anxiety, we definitely work on that and have treatment goals towards that. But there were parts of session where you could tell they're just like enjoying the conversation and it's not really towards their goals at all, right? It's just like a little side chat
Mm.
in their session. And I'm always like, I feel bad because I feel like they're almost coming for like a social hour. You know what I mean? Like they're paying
Yes.
for socialization, which is sad. And I usually have to like gear it back to their goals because obviously I'm like, all right, well, we can't just do nothing in this session. But
Yeah, yeah.
at the same time, it's like they know that they're probably at a part where they're about to be successfully discharged, but they don't because they like the socialization.
Of
It's like their
course.
gossip hour or something.
Um, so feeling lonely is actually a good thing because that is your body's cue, right? Telling you like you need to seek social interaction. So
Mhm,
this is the first time in history that we are seeing in mass people are feeling lonely, but
mhm.
they are not seeking out connections. They're just putting a screen in front of their faces to cope with the loneliness. That's the problem.
It's not that they're using it to cope. That's the false sense. They think they are seeking it out, but I'm telling you, these younger kids,
Okay, okay.
false sense though. It's not real. That's the problem. Like I said, even I feel it, and I didn't even grow up with it as young as them. But if you scroll on TikTok enough, the way some of these videos are like the way they feel like they're talking at you, even though they're talking to the general population, it feels like you start to like if you follow certain people, you start to like know them very well, and you feel like you are their friend, even though you
Mm,
this is a stranger. So you're sitting here looking at your friend's feed every day, and
yeah.
you're thinking you're talking to someone.
Yeah, that's true. I actually, you know what? I bet you it has a lot to do with chronic oversharing on social media, especially by
Mhm.
influencers.
Yep.
So you used to uh, idolize, let's say,
Mhm.
actors, when we were kids or something, actors, singers, whatever, but you didn't know anything about their private life unless it was like in page 6 or like
Right,
TMZ.
right.
But now you get to see them act,
Mhm.
influence whatever, whoever you're following, actors, influencers, models, and then you actually get a glimpse into their private life, whatever they post on social media. So you do feel like you know them if you're one of those people.
Perfect example. A girl I follow, you know why I'm addicted to following her? I love her get ready with me videos where she's at her vanity, you're at the vantage point looking at her, you feel like you're on a FaceTime call with her. It
Mm,
feels very friendly. I would report I feel that I know her, even though I know really not, I'm only knowing what she allows me to know, but I feel like
yeah.
I know her. Every morning she sets the camera up and she talks to you for about 30 minutes.
Wow.
People feel like they're socializing.
Damn. Social media is so bad.
Mhm.
We've really fucked it, guys.
It reminds me
Holy
of
shit.
an episode, I forget what season, definitely the earlier seasons of Black Mirror,
Yes, where
where
you get likes and that,
yeah,
yeah.
but there was one episode where, like, it was sad because the same issue was happening, and then they would go back to their isolated room, and they were only allowed to talk to people on their big screen, and where they were, like, their Bitmoji people. Do you remember? Like, they had to play this karaoke thing, but
Yeah.
they were all, like, Bitmoji people. I can't
Uh,
remember what episode it was, but basically, like, that's how they socialize, even though they were it was sad, they were isolated in this tiny little digital room.
yeah, I do remember that one. Oh, yeah.
That's I feel like this is where we're headed.
Oh, that's not good. So the first half of the century, the 20th century, from 1900 to
Mhm,
1960, there was church membership was surging,
mhm,
membership within labor unions. We were hot off of World War II, so marriage rates hit a record high. And
mhm,
there's obviously the baby boom, book clubs, volunteer groups. The New Deal made America's libraries branch system.
mhm,
So playgrounds, everything were booming.
mhm,
And then in the 1970s, we entered an era of withdrawal. And so some institutions of togetherness, they say, like marriage, eroded slowly, others went quickly. From 1985 to 1994, active involvement in community organizations fell by nearly half.
mhm.
So, what happened in the 1970s? Well, the government dramatically slowed its construction of public spaces. So, places that used to be an anchor in community life, like libraries, school gyms, union halls, became less accessible or shuttered altogether, they said.
Jeez.
But what is actually the two most important things they found are ubiquitous with loneliness. Now, this might come as a surprise, but not really, because they're so normal in our heads. But if you really think about it, is obviously television. That one's obvious, and the automobile. So let's say from 1900 to 1960, the average family, not the family you picture on TV who has it all, but a true average, like middle class family, they maybe have one car. Maybe. A lot of people still lived on the outskirts of cities and they took public transportation.
Mm,
Now, 1970s, 80s, 90s, obviously everyone has 2 cars in their house. That's what it
mhm,
right? Like, that was, like,
mhm.
the birth of the two-car family, like, everyone has it because everyone commuted to work. Also, divorce rates were higher, so now we have to think about more cars because now you're not living in the same
Right,
house where you can stay home
right.
and raise the kids and
More people are
the
going to
husband
work.
goes to work. Now you both go to work because you both have different houses.
Mhm,
And then obviously TVs, now everyone has a TV.
yep.
I mean, I remember our grandparents talking about like they remember when TVs came out, but they didn't have one in their house immediately. Like only very wealthy people did.
I remember so when I came back from college, dad approached me when I was like texting and I was like, I gotta figure out where we want to go tonight. Like, I want to see my friends, we're all home on this break. And I'm like, obviously didn't you miss your friends on break? He goes, well, we didn't have that. We all just went to the local bar and saw if we were all there. And if not, I went to the next one to go find them. It was crazy to me that he had no idea where his friends were. And he was just like, I just went out. And that's how I found them.
That is crazy, actually. Like you could pick up a landline.
Well, he made it sound like because they were all, like, local boys or whatever, like,
Yeah,
you know how there's limited bars over there, right? So he's like, if it was not the one of the 3 or whatever he named, he was like, it was one of them. I was gonna find them eventually.
that's
I was like,
true.
"Oh, okay."
So I will say right now, my husband and I are sharing a car because I'm on maternity leave and like I'm buying a car, but there's no like I don't want to shell out the money now and pay the
Yeah.
insurance and the gas and everything if I'm literally I can't go anywhere really. I'm with Thea all the time. So anyway, we're sharing a car, and that has forced me to be more social in a way that this article is kind of talking about because I've made other mom friends. We
Mhm.
started a book club, and I was like, "Hey, like, sometimes I don't have the car. Like, if Ted's at work, I don't have the car."
Yeah.
And it's kind of forced me to, like, work a way into, like, carpooling and stuff like that. Or Theo and I will go for walks, by the local parks and stuff where other kids are, and that is why the automobile and the TV, more obvious the TV, are kinda like the decline of American socialization. It's very
Yeah.
interesting, I love this. So Americans use the cars to move further and further away. So now you have your own backyard. Why would you go to the public park? You live in the suburbs now. You have your own plot of land.
Yeah.
You hang out with your own family now.
I think the problem with this too is what people have been reporting on is because we do feel so connected but are truly disconnected at the same time, you see that like people are not stepping in. So for instance, you see a crime on a subway and a woman is being attacked. People sometimes just watch or
Oh,
film
yeah.
it. They won't
Oh,
step
film
in.
it. Can we stop with
Oh,
that? Don't whip out your phone. That's helping nobody.
no. Like I mean, I'm not strong in any sense, and of course, if I had my kids on me, I wouldn't risk hurting me or my kids, but if I was alone and saw a woman getting, like, I don't know, stabbed or mugged, I would at least try to help her, like,
I would
you
call
just
911 with my phone. I wouldn't film with my phone.
I just cannot believe, but it really does go back with our communities are just kind of going so far apart, and it's just, like, it's more about views and likes than actually being like, "Oh my god, someone might get murdered or robbed, like, we should probably help them."
Mhm. Now, another interesting fact, which Merce and I were just chatting about before we started recording, is this is the first time in history, well, recorded history, so not that long ago, where single people are actually reporting less loneliness than their married counterparts. And that is because married people get in that rut, like we were talking about earlier, whereas you go to work, you come home, you hang out with your spouse, and
Mhm,
that's it. You say, "What show do you wanna watch tonight?
mhm.
Put our show on." What episode
Yeah,
are we on? I don't know, you fell asleep last night. It's easy. It's easy to just do that same pattern because you're like, "I already have someone at home I can chat with. I'm not that lonely." And
mm,
single people, especially in this day and age, because now it's hard to what we've just been talking about for 30 minutes. It's very hard now to engage in real life. So you have to actively seek out things like I started a book club here in my neighborhood. So single people have to join. I know single people have to join the book clubs or the cooking clubs or take cooking classes like in person.
right,
You do fun activities to seek out social interaction in person. So
yeah.
single people are actually reporting less loneliness than their married counterparts, and that is rare. I mean, it's rare that it's happening, but it is. Like, it's crazy that it's happening.
Well, that's shocking. I have a different point of view, but maybe this can help with the dilemma that maybe we're seeing. So, for instance, like Bridget said, it's easy to fall into a rut, especially if you have more than one kid. You're just so tired. I get it. But when Bridget was telling me this, I could not identify, and here is why. Here's what John and I do that is different. John and I do not allow each other to fall into this whole like because we're married, that's our identity now, or because we're mom and dad, that's our identity. We know those are identities, so obviously, like, that means we respect each other, we don't do anything that would, just damage the family unit, but we are still very Marissa and John without kids, and also Marissa and John. And we actively pursue girl nights, girl trips, boy trips, Marissa and John trip only, fun night in AC, throw the kids at Gaga's. Like, we still do those and we look forward to those. Like, it's so fun for us. And I think because of that, like, I don't think I would report what Bridget is saying other people my age who might be married with kids are. And we live in the suburbs, so it is easy to fall into that. But I just maybe I'm just like I refuse to give like my party girl days up. I'm like, no, I must get out. Let me out of jail.
But that's good because then, hopefully, if you have social interactions outside of your husband, I think
Mhm.
that is better for your marriage. Like people always say, you can't put all your eggs in one basket. You can't put all of your emotional needs on just your one spouse.
Mhm. Yeah.
That person cannot be everything. It's
Yeah.
not fair to you and it's not fair to them.
Right. Right. Yeah. I understand that. Um Also, I again, I have no other point of view except my own, so I don't know. Maybe we'd need to get a younger person on here, but how I feel like because we grew up where we had to play outside, right, for hours until dinner time, and we really the core friendships that from our childhood, like example, Kimmy for me, I still have. that bond is very strong that I consider her as close as you and I, Bridget. We're very much more
Mm.
like sisters, just not blood sisters. And I just love being able to go on trips with her or even just a night away with her and just have deep, deep conversations with a glass of wine. How does that look like for younger generations that for number one, don't even go out, don't consider they'll call friends like best friends, but like how close are you? Like I feel like that's so important to have a bond like that, to go through life without those bonds. That just makes me feel very superficial and lonely.
It's probably a few years ago now. People always used to be like, the best part of going out is like when you're getting ready with your girls. Like the
Yeah.
music's on, you all have a glass of wine. Like that
Mhm.
is the best part of the night. And then the next best part is the next day when you all wake up in the same apartment and you're like, what the fuck happened last night? And you're all like, order bagels in, you know? Mine's
Yep.
very New York specific. Sorry, I went to college in New York. So get your bagel order, get your iced coffee. And that was always the best. And it's because
Mhm.
you were with your friends, the people you actually want to be with. Like, yeah, you go out and party and dance because it's fun, but like you actually are interested in just hanging out with your girlfriends. And like you're all doing your makeup together, you're all straightening the shit out of your hair because it was like 2012.
Mhm.
Like those were the best parts of
Yeah.
the night. And well, obviously clubs have closed. We've known this for a while though,
Mm.
that like clubs and stuff are not the interest of Gen Z. They don't drink as much, they don't club at all. Like they're all going
Yep.
bankrupt.
But it's they
um
do, they prefer bars or like social clubs that are quiet and yeah,
yeah,
they're
they exactly. Yeah, they say they prefer to like just meet out at a restaurant where they can actually talk and as
Mhm.
opposed to like going out.
Mhm.
Um but yeah, I do wonder what they have to like equivalate to that.
Yes.
Very like that is a very bonding experience. And the best thing was like in college or whatever, if you were going out with a group of girls that you like you knew but not that well, by your first glass of wine and makeup session, you're already like besties now. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like it
Mhm.
immediately you're trying on each other's clothes. You're like, no, that
Yeah.
doesn't look good. Try this necklace. And that was like such a bonding experience.
Mhm.
Mm.
Mhm. I don't know, makes me sad to feel like maybe my daughter or even granddaughter would be missing out on, like, that core part of girlhood that really, like, makes a woman, it feels like. 'Cause it's
Sleepovers.
not only that, but it's important to, like, when you look at older women and they're saying now, like, "She was just a girl." Like, her outside appearance may say differently, but she's still just that girl.
Mm.
Like, she's still in the girlhood, it's just like, you know, I don't know, just would be sad to me to see that, like, future generations had very superficial online friendships only. I don't
I really hope the pendulum swings back and that parents don't give their kids phones so early. I think the older millennials and Gen Xers who gave their kids phones the second they were like a thing,
Yeah.
I hope they noticed they kind of screwed the pooch on that. It was a total detriment. I mean, we have ruined this generation of teenagers. They
Yeah.
are, I'm sorry, their brains, and this is not my opinion, these are facts that their
Yeah.
brains and attention spans are
Mhm.
forever altered. You can read articles on it.
You could just
We've
even
totally fucked them. I'm sorry.
even just meeting them, like, you could just like, the way
Yeah.
they speak to you, their mannerisms, you're like, "Mm,
And their education has plummeted. They
mm,
are
yes."
doing so
Mhm.
poorly compared to any previous generation on generalized knowledge
Yep.
subjects, exams,
Mhm.
everything.
Mhm.
Massive decline in grades and interest in school. So we have really screwed them. So I'm hoping that our more like millennial, younger millennial, and older Gen Z who are having kids now, I really hope that we're stricter and are more like, no, you get a brick phone. Okay. You only need this
Yeah.
to call me if I'm late for practice or something. You know what I
Right.
mean? You
Right.
could get social media when you're a later teenager, like we talked about,
Mhm.
not at 10. You don't need an
No.
Instagram at 10, 11, 12.
No, especially when you see these young kids from, like, ages 8 to, say, 12, like, committing suicide because of the bullying
Mm,
online. That is because at that age, even I would remember girls, I don't know about boys so much, but girls are so cruel during that middle school age.
yes.
Now put a phone in their hand because they were already bad in person, okay?
Yeah.
They are rude. They don't there's no line. You know how there's, like, clearly
Yeah.
a line in the sand that you should not cross on what you say? They don't give a fuck. Now middle school girls, they don't really care about consequences. Consequences, what's that? They don't know.
Yep.
And they say anything. And then these kids are killing themselves. That's crazy.
I have another interesting thing that I thought about. So, the article then goes in to talk about obviously how phones are like the absolute like nail in the coffin for why we are lonely now. Which yes, I don't need to explain that to you guys. But I was just on social media the other day. I was on Instagram and I saw that, or no, maybe I was reading it in the news. I can't remember now. Anyway, I saw some content talking about how, Gen Z used to mock us all the time few
Hmm.
years ago it was calling us chuggy, whatever. Now they've actually had a full circle moment where Gen Z, especially Gen Z girls, are like making growing up
Mm.
at our age like more nostalgic and like um putting on a pedestal because they
Yeah.
were saying like, oh, we wish for like, those wanderlust 2012 days and like feather in
Mhm.
your hair, watching Girls, Broad City, like all the classic comedies and dramas at that time, which now that
Yeah.
I'm thinking about, because we just talked about it, it's like fresh in my head. I just put the dots together, connected the dots, that's that saying, I just did that.
Small thing.
I put the dots together. um
We
it's
didn't say like
actually
we put
like
the dots together.
those shows and that, like kind of like um wanting to pay homage to that era is because it was all about girls hanging out. Like Broad City is about best friends living in New York, girls,
Mhm.
best friends living in New York. Like
Mhm.
those were such a good thing for us because we could relate to them. Like we
Yes.
were growing, we were coming of age at that time, and it was like I remember when I watched Girls a little bit later than it came out because I think I was in high school when I watched it in college, and I was living in New York at the time, and I was like, "This is so relatable." But they don't have that now, and that's why they're
Yes.
now like totally putting millennials on this pedestal, and they're saying like, "What a time to be alive!" Like the country was so different. Obviously, the
Mhm.
economy was then bouncing back, and now it might not be. So it was just a different mentality. Like the world just felt lighter and it was like coming of age with your gal pals, and they don't have that now. So now they're no longer mocking us. Apparently, the TikTokers now like millennials.
Oh my goodness. Well, that and I've seen because I guess Alpha is coming for Gen Z now because they're making them
Yeah.
feel irrelevant and old.
Oh,
So they're
good.
like, "We get it now, these little jerks."
Wait, how old is the oldest Gen Alpha now? Don't know.
Uh, I wanna say maybe freshman, right?
No.
I
Let's
think.
look it up.
If not, maybe 8th grade? It's gotta be. Because my kids are not even alpha, they're beta. I think that's the next one, right? Gen
Yeah.
beta?
That which is like insulting.
Yeah. It is, but yet they're saying they're crazier than alpha, which is
Okay,
funny.
so no, you're Alpha. Generation Alpha, the youngest generation, includes individuals between 2010 and 2024.
Oh, so both my kids are alpha.
Yeah,
Well,
you're Alpha, don't worry.
tail
So
end. They're
2010.
tail end. They're almost beta. They're literally at the end of that.
Wait, 2010?
Told you. So they're what age is that? Sorry, I can't do
Yeah,
math.
they're 15. I
I
mean,
told
no,
you.
yeah.
Tell me I'm right. I want you to say
Oh
over
my
the
god, they're freshman and sophomore.
I told you. Say it right now.
Oh my god, you're right.
Thank
What? I
you.
remember when Gen Alpha was created.
Everybody knows I'm always right.
Oh my god, I don't even care that I'm wrong. I care that I'm old.
That's crazy.
Oh my god, ew. We're like the Gen Xers now. Like there were
Yeah,
2 below us, but now there's 3 below. Ew. Oh my god, Marissa, what the fuck?
I'm sorry that you just figured that out live. She's
Oh
trying to
my
grieve.
god.
Give her some
They're in
time.
high school, guys. They're in high
I told
school.
you they were. I said, and that's why they're making the Gen Z feel irrelevant because they think they're the cool kids now.
Holy shit. That's
Yeah.
alarming. That was really shocking. Okay, wow. Well, now it's cool to be a millennial. Everybody shit on us. We actually had a childhood.
Yep. Yes, we did.
No regrets.
Ragrats. Don't know if they'll get that one, but
No
no
regrets.
ragrats.
Regrets.
Anyway, but yeah. No, I do. I try to keep obviously my kids don't have a phone. They have like Bridget's old phone just for time. They use it for time and like they like use your color thing, the notes that has a coloring area.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, they could
Huh.
color things. But other than that, like it does not operate, does not call anybody. They obviously have no social media.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm gonna keep it that way because ain't no way.
Yeah, I tell y'all friends, people. Can we all make an kind of like an unwritten rule that our
Mm,
generation doesn't give these kids phones for a long time? Can we stop with the
yeah,
phones?
yeah.
I can't stand when you see like kids texting and they're like, I don't know, 9 and you're like, who are you texting? Like
Not only this, but like I really it just hinder the imagination. It really does. Just like get out there,
Mm.
play. Like, please, for the love of God. Right now, I'm finally facing a hurdle in parenting that I didn't think was going to come this soon, but I feel like I stood my ground and it was great. So, Jack sees John game all the time, and I knew this was going to be a problem eventually, meaning that he was going to ask me early about gaming, but I thought I was going to avoid it for a bit longer.
Mhm.
And he said, well, I would like to game daddy games. Why am I not allowed to game? And I didn't want to give him the whole like, because I said so, because I felt like
Mm.
that wasn't really good enough. But I tried to explain to him the harmful effects. And then I tried to tell him, even though it was a lie because John corrected me, John said he was his age when he got it and almost fell over.
Really?
But
Wow.
I try to tell him though it's different then. They didn't have 4K screens and like, it was like remember when Tara had like Nintendo? Like it
Yeah.
wasn't that addicting. It wasn't that harmful. So I try to explain to John, like, even though you had it young, it wasn't the same. It's not as bad.
Oh, games were totally different then, yeah.
Yes. So then he lied with me though for Jack. He was like, yeah, I got it when I was older, buddy, like when I was 16.
Hmm.
I was like, "I'm sorry, Jack, but it's gonna be a no from us because I don't need you addicted to that. There's too much violence. It's harmful for your brain." I was like trying to explain it in his language. He got it, but he was a little bummed. He was like, well, "I want a gaming system," and I was like, "Well, when you're 16, we'll talk about it."
Aw.
Just not he's not because I just got to the stage where it's like I finally tried to like get him to enjoy being outside, even though he's kind of
Mm.
like a prima donna a bit with like
He doesn't like bugs.
he doesn't. If it's too dirty, he was like, nah. So like I finally just got him to go outside for at least 2 hours, which is a big deal for my family. And I'm like, no, because once it's over, game over, literally, once he gets that gaming system.
Yeah.
He'll just be one of
Yes.
those addicted, and that might affect his weight, his mental health. I'm like, no, 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 no.
And he is your shyer kid, so
Yes.
he'll just be like, "No, I'm just gonna game. I don't wanna make friends," whereas he needs to
Mhm.
be pushed a bit.
He does. He does. Also, like John has told me the crazy thing. So these games are not monitored in sense where like you can even if you're on a little kid game, like an adult or even just an older teenager who uses horrible language
Yes.
on these games.
Yeah.
I don't need my kids learning things or committing suicide because someone bullied him. I don't need it. I just know you shouldn't have access to the world yet.
Yes, gaming spheres are very much known for their, like well, now that we all watch adolescence, their red pill mentality. It's like a hub for
Mhm.
horrible misogyny and racism. Yeah, gaming,
Bullying,
yeah, it's a bit scary.
grooming older men with younger boys,
Mm.
grooming a lot. So many documentaries on that shit. No, no.
Yeah, so you definitely if they're doing, like, live games like that, you really need to be careful. That is scary.
I would rather not even worry about because besides all that horrific stuff, like I said, isolation, mental health, obesity, awkwardness, right? Because so he just socially cannot. I'm like, attention span. I need
Mhm.
it. He right now, not to brag, our kid is a great student. I get great remarks, and it's not because I'm helping him. He just is genuinely good at math. Must be from John. Great at reading. Great at spelling. His writing could be a little neater. He's a little bit of a pre-doctor signature, but he can spell though. He can so I'm like, I don't need this going down. I don't want someone who's clearly on the rise of being a good student to tank
Yeah.
because he'd rather be gaming and his attention isn't good for school anymore. Mm.
This is a good lesson, though, as we all know. What you teach your kids is hardly as important as what they see. What
Yes.
you do in front of them, they absorb, as you know, especially they always hear or see the one thing you do not want them to hear or see. And you're like, how did you pick that up? All the
True.
good stuff I put in your head, you don't hear.
None of it. Not any of it.
So I consciously like will not use my phone in front of Theo unless it's for literally a second to like log a feed. I do not use it in front of him. Whereas he was a fresh newborn and he couldn't see, I would like scroll, whatever. I don't even put my phone near me anymore because he sees it and he knows what it is. It's crazy. We don't give him screen time at all, but he knows exactly what it is because he's seen us use it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I stopped. Like I
Well,
cut the phone off from myself. I was like, peace, gotta go.
well, that forced you to make a book club. Good for you.
Exactly. Yeah.
You didn't fake socialization. Good job.
Yeah. This week, actually, it's next week. So cool. So we decided that obviously, like how book clubs work, like you rotate who picks the book, but it's going to
Mhm.
change like the whole theme of our book club. So the
Mhm.
one on Tuesday, um, Jen chose, and it's a cookbook club this for next week. So she
Oh,
picked a cookbook, and we each get to make a recipe. So like, there's salads, some starters, a main, and she's gonna do the dessert. And you all meet up and bring, yeah, yeah. And she picked a really good book. It's cool. It's called Greekish. It's
oh,
very
oh,
saucy. Looks good. All the food looks
mm.
amazing.
I'm very jealous. Sounds like a
I
very
know.
fun club
I
to
know,
be a
except I'm a terrible cook, so I'm like really nervous.
I don't know, you showed me the table you prepared. That looked yummy.
I scoop shit in the bowl.
Look good to me, I'd still eat it. It's
These
food.
recipes are quite involved, so we'll see.
Yeah. Well, pick the easiest one and slap it in there.
I have a sticky tahini and date eggplant.
Oh, damn, that sounds really good.
I
Ugh.
know, and the pictures are insane.
I will say, even if I get any recipe to remotely taste good and I'm proud of myself, it still doesn't look anything like the photo.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
I'm
I
like, "What
feel
the
you.
hell? That looks great. Mine looks like a piece of crap."
Yes.
Oh. But anyway, I'm proud of you. Go, Bridget.
Yeah.
Snaps.
Snap. Now, so that was our segment on loneliness. I'm just gonna totally shift gears for all my White Lotus girlies who saw it coming. Let me know. Comment who saw those deaths coming. All right. I
Tell
just
her.
finished the finale this morning, so I'm 2 days late on it. I'm very sad. That's all
Sorry,
I have
I've
to
only
say.
seen 1 season, so I need to catch the heck
I
up.
know you definitely do. White Lotus is so good. I don't know how you're not like right on it.
Okay, so again, I haven't seen any other season except the first, so maybe I'm wrong about it. But from what I saw when I started the second, it was a whole new cast with a different White
Yes.
Lotus.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, so
it,
it's a different White Lotus somewhere else around the world with a new cast.
but it bothered me. I don't
Why?
know. I was so invested in the cast they had. I don't know. I,
Oh, no, you'll fall in love with different cast members, trust me.
I just got to take the dive. I got to do it.
You do, you need to take the dive. Um, but yeah, so let me know, who I mean, did you think it was predictable? Are you sad about it? I'm sure everyone is sad about the deaths, but please let me know.
Woohoo! Well, as always, thank you for listening. Please like, share, subscribe to Psychotic PY Podcast. Our biggest help is YouTube, but if you prefer to follow us on Instagram or Facebook, we're there too. And as always, thanks for hanging with us.
Yay, thank you so much. This has been fun.
Bye.
Bye.